Okay, this is lesson 1-1 for algebra. It's evaluate expressions. Just a quick refresher. An expression is something that does not have an equal sign. It is a series or number sentence without an equal sign. Okay, just an expression. So let's start with our notes. Okay, letter A, evaluate the expression when n equals 3. Just so you know, the expression is technically 13 times n. It has an equal sign here because we're getting ready to evaluate it. Okay, so in other words, you can write it 13 times n, or you can write it 13n, just FYI. Okay, so the first step we do is they want us to evaluate it when n equals 3. So we substitute the 3 for the n. Substitute the 3 for the variable. Substitute that in, 13 times 3. And 13 times 3 is 39. That's evaluating an expression. I think that's pretty easy. So let's try the next one. Okay, the next expression is 9 divided by n. Just so you remember, all fractions are another way to write a division problem. So that technically is 9 over n, or 9 divided by n. Our n again is 3, so we substitute the 3 in for the n. And now we have 9 divided by 3, which is 3. Okay, pretty simple. All right, letter C, n minus 1. There's our expression. Substitute the 3 for the n, and we end up with 3 minus 1, and 3 minus 1 is 2. Okay, pretty easy, right? All right, so let's do some guided practice. You guys try. You can pause the video if you need to. Okay, so the expression is 6 times y, or 6y, and they want you to evaluate the expression when y equals 2. So substitute the 2 in for the y. I'll give you a second. You can pause the video if you need to. And obviously 6 times 2 is 12. Okay. Pause the video if you need to. Or you just can do this in your head. It would be 8 divided by y, and y equals 2. So 8 divided by 2 equals 4. And problem 3. Oh, there's no problem 3. Sorry. Example 2, evaluate an expression. Okay, this is a word problem. It is on your notes, just says movie problem, I believe, something like that. So, the total cost of seeing a movie at a theater can be represented by the expression A plus R. So here's your expression, A plus R, where A is the cost in dollars of admission and R is the cost in dollars of refreshments. Suppose you pay $7.50 for admission and $7.25 for refreshments. Find the total cost. Okay, so we have our expression. We have what A equals, okay, cost of admission. We have what R equals, the cost of refreshments. So we know what our costs are. We know what our substitutions are going to be into that expression. So let's go through this. Okay. Write the expression, which is A plus R, cost of movie plus cost of refreshments. So we do our substitutions, $7.50 plus $7.25, and obviously the answer would be $14.75. That's what we spent on movie and refreshments. Pretty simple. It's going to be a pretty simple lesson today. Okay? All right. Let's go ahead and this is the next part of your notes. It says label the following with the words power, base, exponent, and result. So I want you to circle the entire thing of 3 to the 4th power. Circle that, and let's label that power, okay? The entire thing is called a power, all right? The base is the large number, the base. So let's label the 3 as the base, okay? We obviously know what the exponent is because that is our exponent right here, that small raised number. The 4 is the exponent, okay? So we have our power is the entire thing. The base is the large number that is being repeatedly multiplied. And the exponent is the small number that tells you how many times to multiply it. Okay? So down here we have our power of 3 to the 4th, our base of 3, our power of 4. It's the base that is the number that is repeated or repeatedly multiplied. The exponent tells how many times you multiply it. And finally, the 81 is the result. Okay, so we've labeled everything. Okay, so the base is the number that is repeatedly multiplied. The exponent tells how many times to multiply that. All right, so let's do some evaluation. Okay, I want you to be able to read and write powers. So this is not on your notes, but I'm going to just read this to you, and then you're going to do some guided practice with it in a second. So just pay attention to this part. If you want to write some things down on the back of your paper, you can. Okay, here is the power, and obviously 7 is our base, 1 is our exponent. The way you say this is 7 to the first power. The product means 7 is multiplied just one time, or just a 7. So our product is 7. So 7 to the first power equals 7. Okay, 7 to the first power equals 7. Okay, this next one, example B. This is a base of 5 and an exponent of 2. So we would say 5 to the second power. Or you can say 5 squared. Okay, like a square, you're finding the area, and all sides of your square are 5. The area of that square is 5 times 5, or 5 squared. That's why it's called 5 squared. So you can say 5 to the second power, or 5 squared, and 5 squared would be 5 times 5, so it would end up to be 25. Oh, that's just the product, which equals 25. 5 squared is 5 times 5, which equals 25. All right, a fraction can also be to a power. Our base is 1/2. The whole entire fraction is raised to the third power. So this would be stated as 1/2 to the third power, or 1/2 cubed, because this would be the volume of a cube. Okay, so this is the area of a square, volume of a cube. Okay, so 1/2 to the third power, or 1/2 cubed. So we would write that the base is 1/2, and we would multiply that together 3 times. So 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. Okay, and then to simplify that, 1 times 1 times 1 is obviously 1. 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. It is not 6. We do not do 2 plus 2 plus 2. We multiply 2 times 2 times 2, and we get 8. And the last one has a variable, not a number. Our variable is our base. Our 5 is our exponent. Okay, so that means our z is going to be multiplied together 5 times. And the way we say this is z to the 5th power. We just say the variable name, z to the 5th power. And we would write it like this: z times z times z times z times z. And notice we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 z's. Okay. All right, let's do some guided practice. You can pause the video at each one if you would like to take the time to write the words and write the product. And please pause it, do it, and check your answers. You can do all 3. They're on your paper if you would like to. You can pause the video now and do all 3 problems, and then I will go through them. Okay. All right, number 6, 9 to the 5th power. That's exactly what you should have written, 9 to the 5th power. And you should have 9 multiplied together 5 times. If you have a product, that's fine. You don't have to. You don't have to have an actual result. You can just have this written out. Number 7, 2 to the 8th power. And that's what you should write. 2 to the 8th power. Notice the base is always first, and the exponent is always second in the words. And how many 2's should you write here? Hopefully in your head you know the answer. You should have 8. You should have 8 2's written out there together. All right, number 8, we have a variable, it should be n to the fourth power. And you should have 4 n's multiplied together. Okay? All right. If you need to pause the video, you may. You can rewind if you need to listen to it again. All right, here we go. Next thing. Evaluate the expression. Now we're going to evaluate the expression with powers involved. So we're going to evaluate, these are examples, x to the fourth when x equals 2. So we're going to substitute, oh, I don't have these out like that. We're going to substitute the 2 in for the x. So we're going to substitute it in, and we're going to have 2 to the fourth power, which equals 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. The base multiplied together 4 times. Okay? 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. And 8 times 2 is 16. Okay? Oh, they do have it written out. Ha, sorry, my bad. So x to the fourth becomes 2 to the fourth because we substitute the 2. I'm just going to repeat. Sorry. There it is written. And there's the result, 16. Okay? I'll erase this. All right, let's do problem B. D to the third power when D equals 1/2. Right? So our D, we substitute in a 1/2 for our D, for our base. So we have 1/2 to the third power, which is very similar, or just, I think, the example we just had. So we have 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. And to simplify that, just like we did earlier, it would be 1/8. 1 times 1 times 1 for our numerator, and 2 times 2 times 2 for the denominator. Okay. Again, if you need to rewind, please rewind and listen to parts of this video that you do not understand. All right, let's practice. You can pause the video. You can do your guided practice. They're on your homework page or your notes page. Go ahead and do the guided practice if you like. And then turn the video back on to check your work. All right. For number 9, we're going to evaluate x cubed when x equals 8. So you should have substituted 8 in for x and done 8 times 8 times 8. And you would have gotten 512, because 64 times 8 is 512. 8 times 8 is 64. 64 times 8 is 512. All right, now the next expression for 10 is k to the third power. And k, they want us to evaluate it when k equals 2.5. So you should have substituted 2.5 in for k, and you should have done 2.5 times 2.5 times 2.5, and you would have gotten the answer 6.25. I hope. Okay? If you don't, you can ask questions after you finish taking notes. All right, the next slide. Oh, more practice. D to the fourth power when D equals 1/3. So substitute that 1/3 in for D, and you should have come up with 1/81. 1/3 times 1/3 times 1/3 times 1/3. Okay, so 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is obviously just a 1. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 times 3 is 81. Remember to always multiply and don't just do 3 times 4 and get 12. Okay? So that's how I got the 81, 1/81. All right. On your notes, it says right now, let's write the how we find the area of a square and the volume of a cube. And I want you to write that using powers. And we just talked about that. So you should have a place on your notes where it says area. Okay? We're going to say the side of a square, we're just going to call it S. S equals side, whether that be of a square or of a cube. So S equals the side. So the area of a square would be side times side. And if it's a square, it's obviously the same measurement. So it would just be S squared. Or area equals side squared. Okay? you have a spot for volume, volume of a cube, okay, capital V for volume, okay. For volume of a cube has 3 different dimensions, length, width, and height. And all of your dimensions are the same. So your length, your width, and your height are all the same. So it would be side times side times side, or using those exponents, side cubed. Okay, so we're going to be using these for this problem right now. All right, each edge of the medium-sized pop-up storage cube shown is 14 inches long. The storage cube is made so that it can be folded flat when not in use, and it'll make a square. Find the volume of the storage cube. So we're going to use our expression, side cubed, or volume equals side cubed, and we're going to obviously do some substitution. So here's our solution. Write the formula for volume, which we know what it is right here. Volume equals side cubed. We're going to substitute the 14 in for the S because that is the length of all 3 of our sides. We know that because it's a cube. So we have 14 cubed, which means 14 times 14 times 14. And we end up with 2,744. I hope you guys could do that in your head. Just kidding. Probably have calculators. All right, next one. Oh, the volume of the storage cube is 2,744 cubic inches. Okay? Or inches cubed. Next one. What if, in example 5, suppose that you fold that storage cube flat to form a square. Find the area of that square. So again, we know the sides are all 14 inches. Okay? And what is the area? The formula for area is side squared. We know the side equals 14 inches. So again, we're going to just substitute that 14 in for S, and we're going to end up with area equals 14 squared, and 14 squared is 196. So the area of that folded storage cube is 196 inches squared. So you would need a spot at least that large to store your storage cube. Okay? All right, I think the rest of the page is your daily homework quiz. Now, you don't have this on your page. I'm going to give you problems, and I do not give you answers. I hope not. I might on this one. But normally on the daily homework quiz, you're going to come into class, and that's what we're going to check to see if you have the correct answers. I think the answers are on this PowerPoint, but we're going to come in and check to see if you have the correct answers. So here's your daily homework quiz. Okay, there's number 1. Evaluate the expression or the power. 13g, or 13 times g, when g equals 7. So you can pause the video and solve. And there's the answer. Okay. For number 2, 1.65 minus a, that's your expression, when a equals 0.75. So substitute your a in. Pause the video if you need to. And there's your answer. Number 3, 5 to the 4th power. If you need to pause the video, do so. And then you can check your answer. 625. You can always rewind, go back, whatever. 1/3 to the 3rd power. I think we already have done this one. No, we did 1/3 to the 4th power. 1/27. And your last daily homework quiz. Emily is saving for a $300 bicycle. She has saved $128.25. The amount she still needs to save is given by the expression C minus S. So there's an important part. There's your expression, C minus S, where C is the cost and S is the amount saved. Okay? C is cost, S is amount saved. How much does she have left to save? So I'm not going to give you the answer to this one. It's pretty easy. Substitute in your values and solve your expression. Okay, that is the end of the video. Thank you.